Surgery is expensive. Would you help me walk? Evelyn Carter read the words twice before she fully saw the child holding them. A small girl sat in a wheelchair near the brick wall of Miller's Market, her dark hair pulled into two uneven braids. The cardboard sign rested in her lap, the letters drawn in careful purple marker. Her legs, thin beneath worn jeans, lay motionless on the footrests. The Saturday morning sun painted Main Street in soft gold, but Evelyn barely noticed. Her knees protested as she knelt down, that familiar ache that came with 70 years of living. She adjusted the cloth shopping bag on her arm, the one with Contas written on an envelope peeking out, right next to the one marked Remedios. "Hello there," Evelyn said quietly. 30 years at the public library had taught her when to speak and when to wait. The girl looked up, brown eyes, tired but steady. "Hi. What's your name, sweetheart?" "Lena. I'm Evelyn." She glanced at the sign again. Surgery. The word felt too heavy for such small hands. "Are you here by yourself?" "My mom's working." Lena pointed toward the loading dock. "She cleans inside on Saturdays. My tummy hurts when I sit too long." But I wanted to help. Something tightened in Evelyn's chest, that pull she'd felt 1,000 times when a child came to story hour with hunger in their eyes. "Stay right there," Evelyn said, pushing herself up slowly. "I'm getting groceries, and then I'm bringing you lunch. You like sandwiches?" Lena's face brightened. "Yes, ma'am." Inside, fluorescent lights hummed over the produce section. Evelyn moved through the aisles with practiced efficiency. Milk, bread, oranges on sale. She added turkey, cheese, and a bag of animal-shaped cookies to her cart. At checkout, Betty Morrison from the church prayer group leaned close, nodding toward the window. "That girl's been there since 9, Betty whispered. "Someone posted a photo on the community Facebook page. Comments are, well, you know how people get. Where's the father? Looks like a scam." She showed her phone, a blurry photo of Lena, angry emojis below. Someone asking if it was another fundraiser lie. Evelyn's jaw tightened. "She's 8 years old, Betty. I'm just saying what people are saying." Evelyn paid and walked out without another word, her late husband's handkerchief tucked in her pocket like it had been every Saturday for 3 years. Lena was exactly where she'd left her, watching cars pass with patient eyes. Evelyn sat on the bench beside the wheelchair and unpacked the sandwich, chips, juice box. "Here you go, honey." "Thank you." Lena took the food like it was something precious. They sat in comfortable silence. After a few minutes, a woman emerged from the side entrance, 30-something, exhausted in a way Evelyn recognized. Dark hair tied back, cleaning gloves still on, the chemical smell of floor cleaner clinging to her hands. A red mark circled her wrist where the glove had pressed. "Too tight." "Lena!" The woman hurried over, relief and worry fighting on her face. "I told you to wait by the back door." "I wanted to help, Mama." Lena held up 3 crumpled dollar bills. 3 people gave money. The woman's eyes glistened. She noticed Evelyn then. "I'm sorry if she bothered." "She didn't bother anyone." Evelyn stood, extending her hand. "I'm Evelyn Carter. I brought her lunch." "Marisol." The handshake was brief. Her English came slow and careful, each word chosen with precision. "We don't usually. This is not normal for us." "I know, honey." Evelyn kept her voice steady. "I used to work at the library. I know people, social services, the community clinic. Maybe I could make some calls." Marisol's shoulders dropped slightly, like she'd been holding them up for months. "The hospital says we need $5,000, just to schedule the surgery, not for the, surgery, just to put her name on the calendar." 5,000. Evelyn thought of her small savings account, her fixed income, the grocery list she planned down to the penny each week. She thought of Betty's phone screen, those angry comments, the word scam in all caps. She pulled a small notepad from her purse, the kind she used to track library due dates, and clicked her pen. "What's the name of the hospital?" "St. Michael's, in Riverside." Evelyn wrote it down, her handwriting neat and deliberate. "Hospital, St. Michael's Call, community clinic, Tuesday. Call. Father Miguel. Call. County. Social services. Lena watched her write, juice box halfway to her mouth. No promises, Evelyn said, tucking the notepad away. But I'll try. Marisol nodded, blinking fast. Across the parking lot, a man loaded 2 bags of groceries into a modest gray sedan. He wore jeans and a plain jacket, the kind you wouldn't look at twice. But he wasn't moving. He stood beside his open trunk, keys in hand, watching the 3 of them. The old woman with the notepad, the exhausted mother, the child in the wheelchair. He watched for a long moment. Then he closed the trunk quietly, the metallic click barely audible over the Saturday morning traffic. His keys tilted in the sunlight as he climbed into the driver's seat. Nobody noticed him. Nobody knew what he would do. Monday morning arrived with rain tapping against Evelyn's kitchen window. She sat at the small table where she and Robert used to share coffee, her notepad open, phone beside it, reading glasses perched on her nose. The list stared back at her. St. Michael's Hospital Community Clinic, Father Miguel County Social Services. She'd made lists her whole life. Library book orders, grocery runs, medications. Lists made chaos manageable. But this one felt different. Evelyn dialed the community clinic first. Riverside Community Health, please hold. Cheerful music played. 4 minutes passed. 6. Thank you for holding. How can I help you? Evelyn explained about Lena, the wheelchair, the surgery, the $5,000 deposit. See? The receptionist's voice shifted to practiced sympathy. We do have a referral program, but there's a wait list. Current wait time is 8 to 12 weeks for the first appointment. Would you like me to add her name? 8 to 12 weeks. Just for an appointment. Yes, please, Evelyn said, writing down the reference number they gave her. Next, she called St. Michael's Hospital directly. Transfer, hold, transfer again. Financial services, this is Donna. Hello, I'm calling about a child who needs surgery. Her family was told they need $5,000 up front just to schedule. That's correct. For non-emergency pediatric orthopedic procedures, we require a deposit to secure a surgical date. It's hospital policy. But what if the family can't afford? They can apply for our hardship program. Processing takes 4 to 6 weeks. If approved, the deposit requirement may be reduced. I can send the application. And if they're not approved? A pause. Then the deposit stands. Evelyn's pen pressed harder into the paper. Thank you. She hung up and stared at her notepad. Wait, 8-12 weeks. Application, 4 to 6 weeks. Deposit, still $5,000. The rain came down harder. Father. Miguel answered on the 3rd ring, his warm voice a small relief. Evelyn, good to hear from you. How are you managing? I'm fine, Father, but I met a family that needs help. She explained about Lena and Marisol. Ah, yes, I've heard whispers. Someone posted about them online. Not all kind, I'm afraid. He sighed. We have the benevolence fund, but it's been stretched thin this quarter. Furnace repairs at the shelter, the Garcia family's rent emergency last month. I could probably gather 3, maybe 400 from the parish council. 400 against 5,000. Every bit. Helps, Father. I'll bring it up at Wednesday's meeting. And Evelyn, keep me posted. Sometimes people surprise us. She smiled faintly. Sometimes they do. The last call was to County Social Services. Automated menu. Press 1, press 3, press 9 for other options. Finally, a human. Voice. Tired. Hurried. Social Services, Maria speaking. Evelyn explained again. The wheelchair, the surgery, the mother who worked cleaning jobs. Is the child in immediate danger? No, but she's in pain. Is there abuse or neglect in the home? No, nothing like that. Then she doesn't qualify. For emergency intervention, the family can apply for medical assistance, but with a working parent, they might not meet income thresholds. Have them call our main line and request an application packet. The line went dead before Evelyn could respond. She set the phone down carefully, the way you'd set down something fragile. Outside, the rain puddled in the driveway. Evelyn made herself a cup of tea. Chamomile, the kind Robert always said smelled like hay, and added a new line to her list. Wednesday, church meeting. Talk to quilting group? Check. Hospital charity care form. Her hand trembled, slightly as she wrote, not from age, from the weight of doors that opened only a crack before closing again. She thought of Lena's face, that careful hope. Evelyn folded the list and tucked it into her purse. Across town, Marisol scrubbed a kitchen floor on her knees, her phone silent in her pocket. She'd texted her cousin in California twice. No response. And in a quiet house on Maple Street, the man from the parking lot sat at his desk, laptop open. On the screen, St. Michael's Hospital financial policies, IRS rules for charitable foundations, and a scanned image of a small girl holding a purple markered sign. He hadn't stopped thinking about it. He made a call. "Yes, I need to speak with someone in your hospital administration office. It's about your pediatric surgery deposit policy." His voice was calm, deliberate, and nobody, not Evelyn, not Marisol, not even Lena, knew he was already moving. Wednesday evening, the church basement smelled of old coffee and lemon furniture polish. 6 women sat in folding chairs around a table covered with fabric scraps. The quilting circle, meeting like they had every Wednesday for 12 years. Evelyn smoothed a square of blue cotton and cleared her throat. "I want to talk about something before we start." Betty Morrison looked up from her needle. "If it's about that girl at the market, her name is Lena." Evelyn kept her voice level. "And yes, it's about her." She told them everything. The surgery, the deposit, the phone calls. That led nowhere. The mother who worked 3 cleaning jobs and still came up short. "I was thinking we could organize something, a bake sale maybe, or use some of the benevolence fund." Silence filled the space between them. Finally, Margaret Chen spoke, her voice gentle but firm. "Evelyn, honey, we love your heart, but there are so many needs. How do we know this one is legitimate?" Legitimate? The word tasted bitter. "I saw the Facebook post," Sandra added, not meeting Evelyn's eyes. "People are saying there's no proof of the surgery, no medical records. What if we raise money and it's not real?" Evelyn's hand stilled on the fabric. "She's 8 years old, in a wheelchair, in pain. But her mother, where's the rest of the family?" Betty leaned forward. "My daughter said someone commented that the father probably left because of the medical bills. Why should we clean up someone else's mess?" The words hung in the air like smoke. Evelyn stood slowly, her chair scraping against linoleum. She folded her fabric square with precise movements, tucked it into her bag. "I've known you all for years," she said quietly. "We've prayed together, quilted blankets for people. We've never met, but now there's a child 20 minutes from here and we're worried about proof." She picked up her purse, Robert's handkerchief visible in the side pocket. "I'm going to help her, with or without a bake sale." The door closed softly behind her. In the parking lot, rain misted under. Streetlights. Evelyn sat in her car, hands on the steering wheel, not turning the key. Her phone buzzed. A text from Father Miguel. "Council approved $400. Can pick up Friday. You're not alone in this. $400 against 5,000. She let out a long breath. Another buzz. Unknown. "Number, Mrs. Carter? This is Marisol. Lena asked if you come for dinner Saturday. We don't have much, but she want to say thank you. No pressure." Evelyn typed back with careful thumbs. "I would love to. What time?" Across town, in a modest rental house, Marisol stirred rice on the stove. Lena sat at the table coloring a picture. A stick figure woman with gray hair holding hands with a smaller figure in a wheelchair. "Mama, do you think Miss Evelyn can really help?" Marisol's hand paused on the spoon. She thought of the hospital's voicemail she'd listened to 3 times that morning. "We cannot hold. A surgical date without the deposit. Please call to discuss payment options." She thought of her cousin who never texted back. Of the landlord who promised to fix the black spots on the bathroom wall and never did. Of the 3 jobs that still weren't enough. "I think," Marisol said carefully, "Miss Evelyn is trying. And trying is something. Lena nodded, adding yellow to the sun in her picture. On Maple Street, Daniel Brooks closed his laptop and rubbed his eyes. He'd spent the evening reading hospital billing codes, nonprofit incorporation laws, patient advocacy case studies. On his notepad, he'd written, direct payment, solves one problem, systemic change solves many. He circled the second line. Then he picked up his phone and made another call. St. Michael's Hospital. How may I direct your call? I need to speak with your chief financial officer. Tell them it's regarding a significant donation with conditions. May I ask who's calling? Daniel Brooks. They'll want to take this call. He waited, watching rain streak down the window. Somewhere in the city, a child was coloring a picture of hope. And slowly, too slowly, the pieces were beginning to move. Saturday arrived. With pale sunshine breaking through clouds, Evelyn stood outside the address Marisol had texted, holding a store-bought apple pie and checking the number twice. The apartment building sagged slightly, its beige paint peeling near the gutters. A rusty bike frame leaned against the side wall. But the small window on the second floor had curtains, cheerful yellow ones carefully hung. Evelyn climbed the stairs slowly, her knee complaining on each step. Marisol opened the door before she could knock, wearing a clean blouse and tired smile. Miss Evelyn, thank you for coming. The apartment was tiny, kitchen, living room, and bedroom probably all visible from where she stood. But it was spotless. A folding table had been set with mismatched plates and a mason jar holding 3 daisies. Lena picked the flowers, Marisol said, from the lot next door. Lena wheeled herself forward, beaming. Miss Evelyn, I made you something. She handed over the colored picture, the gray-haired woman and the girl in the wheelchair, holding hands under a smiling sun. Evelyn's throat tightened. This is beautiful, sweetheart. I'm going to put it on my refrigerator. They sat for dinner. Rice, beans, chicken seasoned with something warm and unfamiliar. Evelyn ate slowly, listening to Lena chatter about a library book someone had given her. It's about a girl who finds a magic garden, Lena said. But I like the part where she makes a friend better than the magic part. Sometimes friendship is the magic, Evelyn said softly. Marisol poured water into plastic cups, her movements careful. Miss Evelyn, I want to show you something, so you know this is real. She disappeared into the bedroom and returned with a folder, worn at the edges, stuffed with papers, medical records, diagnosis sheets. A surgery estimate from St. Michael's Hospital with numbers that made Evelyn's chest ache. Estimated cost, $47,000 insurance coverage, $0 uninsured. Required deposit, $5,000. The doctor says without surgery the pain gets worse, Marisol said quietly. Her spine, it curves wrong, pushes on things. Sighed. Makes her stomach swell. Makes breathing hard sometimes. She pulled out another paper. A letter from the hospital, dated 2 weeks ago. We cannot schedule your daughter's procedure without the deposit. Please contact our office within 30 days or the referral will expire. 23 days. Left. Evelyn looked at Lena, who was pushing beans around her plate, pretending not to listen. Have you shown these to anyone else? Evelyn asked. The people online who are questioning? Marisol's jaw tightened. I don't have Facebook. My English is not good for arguing, and I'm scared if I make noise, immigration will... She stopped, glancing at Lena. You're documented? Yes, work permit, but people talk. They say things. I just want to be quiet and work and take care of my daughter. Evelyn reached across the table and squeezed Marisol's hand. You're a good mother. Don't let anyone tell. Different. After dinner, while Lena watched a cartoon on an ancient television, Marisol showed Evelyn the bathroom. Black mold spread across the ceiling like storm clouds. The landlord says he will fix it, Marisol whispered. But 3 months, nothing. Lena coughs more now. Evelyn pulled out her phone and took pictures. What's your landlord's name? Mr. Patterson, but please, I don't want trouble. No trouble, just information. Evelyn's voice carried the firmness of 30 years managing a public institution. Sometimes people need reminding about their responsibilities. Outside, the sun was setting orange and pink. Evelyn hugged Lena goodbye, the child's thin arms surprisingly strong around her neck. "Will you come back?" Lena asked. "Wild horses couldn't keep me away." In her car, Evelyn sat for a moment, Lena's picture on the passenger seat beside her purse. She thought about the quilting circle, the doubt, the questions. She thought about the hospital's cold letter, 23 days. Then she pulled out her notepad and wrote, "Call, Housing Authority, Monday. Call, Father Miguel, Mold Post, Community Board at Library, find. Who is Daniel Brooks?" She paused on that last line, the man from the parking lot. She'd seen him twice more since that first Saturday, once at the post office, once buying coffee at the diner. Each time, he'd nodded politely. Each time, his eyes had held something she couldn't quite name. Curiosity? Concern? She didn't know yet, but she had a feeling she was about to find out. Monday morning, Evelyn stood at the community bulletin board outside the public library, tacking up a flyer she'd printed at home. Fundraiser for local child surgery. Lena, age 8, needs spinal surgery, bake sale, Saturday, 9 a.m., church parking lot. Every dollar helps. Every prayer matters. She'd included a photo, Lena smiling in her wheelchair, holding the daisies from dinner. Marisol had given permission, though her hands had trembled signing the paper. "That's a kind thing you're doing." Evelyn turned. The man from the parking lot stood behind her, holding a library book. Up close, she noticed details. The quiet quality of his jacket, the calloused hands that didn't match his calm demeanor, the way he looked at the flyer with complete attention. "Thank you," Evelyn said. "Do I know you?" "Daniel Brooks. I moved to Maple Street about 2 months ago." He extended his hand. "I've seen you around. You were at Miller's Market a couple Saturdays ago. You have a good memory. Some things stick." He nodded at the flyer. "The little girl with the sign. How is she?" Something in his tone made Evelyn pause, not nosy, genuinely concerned. "She needs surgery. 5,000 just to get on the schedule, and the clock's ticking. I'm trying to help, but..." She gestured at the flyer. "It feels like emptying the ocean with a teaspoon." Daniel studied the paper quietly. "The bake sale is Saturday? If I can get enough people to donate food. My church group is hesitant. I could bring something. I make decent brownies." Evelyn smiled despite herself. "You bake?" "My mother insisted. Said a man who can't feed himself properly isn't fully grown." He pulled out his phone. "Could I get your number in case I have questions about Saturday?" She dictated it, watching him save it under Evelyn Bake Sale. "I should mention," Daniel said, tucking his phone away, "I spoke with someone at St. Michael's Hospital last week about their deposit policy." Evelyn's eyes sharpened. "You did? Why?" "Because it bothered me. A child in pain and..." "The first question is money." He shook his head. "I used to work in institutional finance. I know how these systems operate. Sometimes they just need the right pressure applied." "And did they listen?" "Not yet, but I'm persistent." He glanced at the flyer again. "Mind if I make some copies? I know a few people who might want to help." "That would be wonderful." He nodded, turned to leave, then paused. "Mrs. Carter, don't let people make you doubt this. What you're doing matters." He walked away before she could respond, disappearing into the stacks with his library book tucked under his arm. Evelyn stood there, fingertips still on the flyer. Institutional finance. She pulled out her phone and typed his name into Google. The results loaded slowly. Then her breath caught. Daniel Brooks. Wikipedia philanthropist and former CEO of Brooks Capital Management. Forbes. The billionaire. Who disappeared. After selling his investment firm for $2.3 billion, Daniel Brooks dropped out of sight. New York Times. Where is Daniel Brooks? The reclusive investor hasn't been seen publicly in 18 months. Evelyn scrolled through photos. The same man, but different. expensive suits, gala, events, awards. And at the bottom of one article, a quote, "I'm tired of writing checks that solve nothing. Real change requires being present, not just paying." She looked toward the stacks where he'd vanished. A billionaire, living on Maple Street, shopping at Miller's Market, making brownies for a bake sale. Her phone buzzed, a text from Father Miguel. "Evelyn, I have good news. Anonymous donor just called the church office. Wants to match whatever we raise at the bake sale, dollar for dollar. Wouldn't give a name. Said you'd understand." Evelyn stared at her phone, then at the library stacks. Then at the flyer with Lena's hopeful smile. Dollar for dollar. She thought about the man who'd asked careful questions, who'd called the hospital about policy, who'd noticed a child in a parking lot and hadn't looked away. She texted back, "I think I might understand. Thank you, Father." Another text appeared, this time from an unknown number. "Mrs. Carter, this is Daniel Brooks. One more thing, I have a friend who's a housing attorney. Would Marisol be willing to talk to him about that mold situation? No charge. Just let me know." Evelyn leaned against the bulletin board, her heart doing something complicated in her chest. Not all heroes wore capes, her late husband used to say. Some wore modest jackets and returned library books on time. She typed back, "Yes, and thank you for the brownies." 3 dots appeared. Then, "They're really good brownies, you'll see. Despite everything, the doubt, the deadline, the mountain still to climb." Evelyn smiled. 20 days left. But now she wasn't climbing alone. Saturday morning broke clear and cool, the kind of day that made everything feel possible. Evelyn arrived at the church parking lot at 7:30, arms full of folding tables and a cash box that had seen 20 years of church fundraisers. Father Miguel helped her set up, his breath misting in the morning air. "How many confirmed donations do we have?" Evelyn checked her list. 12 people, maybe 15 if the maybes come through. By 8:15, the table held a modest spread. Cookies, a lemon cake, some muffins, Evelyn's apple pie. Respectable but not overwhelming. Then the cars started arriving. Daniel appeared at 8:30 with 3 trays of brownies, perfectly cut and wrapped. "Told you they were good. You made all these?" "Couldn't sleep. Seemed productive." He set them down carefully. "How can I help?" Before Evelyn could answer, more people arrived. Margaret Chen from the quilting circle carrying banana bread and looking sheepish. "I'm sorry about Wednesday. I was wrong." A woman Evelyn didn't recognize brought 2 dozen cupcakes. "I saw the flyer at the library. My daughter had scoliosis surgery at 16. I remember what it cost." By 9 o'clock, the tables overflowed. Cars pulled in steadily. Some people bought 1 cookie. Others handed over $20 bills and waved away change. An elderly man in a veteran's cap tucked a $50 into the cash box. "For the little girl." Evelyn's hands shook as she made change, over and over. Marisol arrived at 10 with Lena, both dressed carefully. Lena's eyes went wide at the tables, at the people, at the line of customers. "All this, for me?" "For you, sweetheart," Evelyn said. Dealing down. "Because people care." A teenager approached the wheelchair shyly. Hi. I'm Emma. I made these friendship bracelets. Could I give you one?" Lena nodded, speechless, as Emma tied a purple and blue bracelet around her thin wrist. Betty Morrison appeared then, carrying a covered dish. She looked at Evelyn, at Marisol, at Lena. "I brought my famous cinnamon rolls, and I owe you an apology. All of you." Marisol's eyes filled. "Thank you for coming." "No, thank you. For reminding me what church is supposed to be." By noon, Daniel was restocking brownies, his 4th tray. "I'm going to need to buy out the grocery store's cocoa supply." Evelyn laughed, giddy with exhaustion and hope. The cash box was stuffed with bills. She'd stopped counting after 2,000. A news van pulled into the lot. Father Miguel walked over to the reporter, a young woman with a notepad. "We're just a community helping a neighbor," he said simply. "Nothing fancy, just people doing what's right. The camera panned across the tables, caught Lena laughing as Emma showed her how to make a bracelet, zoomed in on Daniel quietly replenishing brownies while refusing to be interviewed. Who organized this? The reporter asked Evelyn. We all did, that's how community works. At 3 o'clock, as the last cookies sold, Evelyn and Father Miguel counted in his office. $3,462. Evelyn stared at the bills spread across the desk. We did it. Actually, her phone rang. Unknown number. Mrs. Carter, this is Donna from St. Michael's Hospital Financial Services. I have something unusual to tell you. We received a call this week from someone proposing a matching donation for a patient named Lena Vasquez. They said to contact you to verify the amount raised. Evelyn's hand trembled. $3,462. Then that's what they'll match. But there's more. This donor is proposing something called a community surgical fund, a permanent endowment that would reduce deposits for low-income pediatric cases. They've offered to fund it with $500,000 if the hospital agrees to transparent pricing and accepts referrals from community clinics. Evelyn sat down hard. $500,000? The CFO is reviewing the proposal Monday. Between you and me, Mrs. Carter, I've worked here 16 years. Nobody's ever pushed back on our policies like this. Whoever your donor is, they know exactly how to apply pressure. The call ended. Evelyn walked back outside where Daniel was breaking down tables, his sleeves rolled up, completely ordinary except for everything he was doing. Daniel. He looked up. Thank you, she said quietly, for the brownies and everything else. His eyes crinkled. They really were good brownies. The hospital called. They mentioned a proposal, a fund. Did they? He folded a table, not quite meeting her eyes. Well, sometimes systems need incentives to change. $500,000 is quite an incentive. Is it? I wouldn't know. But his small smile gave him away. Marisol approached then, Lena beside her. Miss Evelyn, Father Miguel says we have enough for the deposit. Is that true? It's true, honey. Marisol's legs buckled. Daniel caught her elbow, gently, steadying her while she sobbed into her hands. Months, maybe years of fear finally breaking. Lena wheeled closer and took her mother's hand. It's okay, Mama. We have help now. And they did. 17 days until the referral expired. But the deposit was covered. And something bigger, something systemic, was beginning to shift. Monday afternoon, Evelyn sat beside Marisol in St. Michael's Hospital financial office. A check from the church clutched in Marisol's trembling hands. The amount, $6,124. The bake sale funds plus Father Miguel's benevolence contribution. Matched dollar for dollar. Donna, the financial counselor, looked older than she'd sounded on the phone. Tired lines framed her eyes, but they softened when she saw Lena in her wheelchair, clutching a small stuffed rabbit someone had given her at the bake sale. You're here about the deposit, Donna said. Pulling up the account, her fingers paused on the keyboard. Before we process this, I need to tell you something. The hospital administration is meeting right now about a proposal for a community surgical fund. If it's approved, your required deposit would drop to $2,000. Marisol blinked. $2,000? Not $5,000? The proposal includes retrospective coverage for cases already in our system, meaning you'd get a refund. Donna glanced at her office door, lowering her voice. Between us, the CFO doesn't like being backed into a corner. But when someone offers $500,000 and the local news starts asking questions about our deposit policies, she smiled tightly. Sometimes ethics and publicity align. When will they decide? Evelyn asked. Today. Maybe tomorrow. Donna turned back to her screen. But we can process your deposit now and adjust later. Let me schedule. The surgery. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. Marisol gripped Evelyn's hand so hard it hurt. Okay, Donna said finally. Surgery scheduled for Friday, November 22nd, 2 weeks from now. Dr. Patterson is excellent. 14 years in pediatric orthopedics. Pre-op appointment this eye. Thursday at 2. Lena looked up at her mother. Does that mean? Yes, mi amor, Marisol's voice broke. Yes. In the elevator going down, Lena pressed every button, giggling when Evelyn pretended to be shocked. They stopped on every floor, and on the fourth, an elderly man shuffled in with a walker. He noticed Lena's wheelchair and smiled. What are you so happy about, young lady? I'm getting surgery, so my tummy won't hurt anymore. Well, that's wonderful news. He patted her head gently before exiting on the third floor. Marisol watched him go, tears streaming silently down her face. Evelyn handed her a tissue. She'd started carrying extras. Outside, November wind scattered leaves across the parking lot. Daniel's gray sedan was parked 3 rows over. He leaned against it, scrolling through his phone, somehow managing to look both casual and expectant. How did it go? He asked as they approached. Surgery is scheduled, Evelyn said. 2 weeks. Something shifted in his expression, relief so profound it made him look younger. That's good. That's really good. The hospital administrator is reviewing your proposal, Evelyn added quietly, watching his face. Is that so? $500,000. A permanent fund. Reduced deposits for families who can't afford them. She stepped closer. You could have just paid for her surgery directly. Would have been simpler. Daniel was quiet for a moment, watching Lena show her mother how she'd pressed all the elevator buttons. I could have, he said finally. But in 6 months there would be another Lena and another and another. A check solves one problem. A system solves hundreds. He looked at Evelyn. You taught me that, actually. I did? At the market. When you didn't just give money, you made calls. Organized people, built something. You didn't save her alone. You made saving her a community project. He pushed off from his car. I'm just doing the same thing with bigger numbers. Marisol approached, wiping her eyes. Mr. Brooks? I don't know how to thank you. You already did. You let people help. That's harder than it sounds. He crouched down to Lena's level. Hey, Lena, how are you feeling? Scared, she said honestly, but also happy. Is that weird? Not even a little. Being brave doesn't mean not being scared. It means doing the thing anyway. Were you ever scared? Daniel's smile turned sad. All the time, still am sometimes. What scares you? He considered this seriously. Wasting my life on things that don't matter. But helping you? This matters. Lena reached out and touched his hand. Thank you for the brownies. They were really good. Best compliment I've gotten all year. That evening, Evelyn sat in her kitchen with a cup of tea, Lena's drawing still on her refrigerator. Her phone buzzed. A text from Father Miguel. Hospital approved the fund. Effective immediately. They're calling it the Community Partnership Initiative. Press release tomorrow. Donna from Financial Services told me you and an anonymous donor made it happen. Another text, this one from Daniel. System shifted. Now the real work begins, making sure they actually follow through. Want to help me keep them honest? Evelyn smiled and typed back, someone has to make sure you don't disappear again. Not planning on it. This town has good brownies and better people. She set her phone down and looked at Robert's photo on the mantel, the one where he was laughing at something she'd said. His eyes crinkled with joy. We did good today, she whispered. Didn't we? The house was quiet, but for the first time in 3 years, it didn't feel empty. Thursday afternoon, Evelyn drove Marisol and Lena to the pre-op appointment. The hospital felt different this time, less intimidating, more like a place where healing actually happened. Dr. Patterson was a small woman with efficient hands and kind eyes. She showed them x-rays on a light board, tracing the curve of Lena's spine with one finger. See here? The vertebrae are compressing these organs. That's why her stomach hurts, why she has trouble breathing sometimes. She turned to Lena. After surgery, your spine will be straighter. The pain will get better, but recovery takes time. Maybe 3 months before you're really feeling strong again. 3 months? Lena's face fell. I know that sounds like forever, but think of it this way. 3 months of healing, then a lifetime of feeling better. Fair trade? Lena considered. Will I be able to walk? Dr. Patterson's expression softened. The surgery fixes your spine, honey. But your legs, that's a different issue. We'll know more after, but I want you to understand. This might not change the wheelchair. The room went very quiet. But the pain will stop? Will? Lena asked, her voice small. Most of it, yes. Okay then. Lena sat up straighter. That's still good. Marisol turned away, shoulders shaking. Evelyn squeezed her hand under the table. That evening, Daniel appeared at Evelyn's door with a casserole dish and an apologetic smile. I know I said I could cook, but this is from Maria's kitchen downtown. I just reheated it. He held it out. Thought you might be tired after the hospital. You thought right. She stepped aside. Come in. I'll make coffee. They sat at her small kitchen table, the same one where she'd made all those lists. Surrounded by the comfortable clutter of a life well lived, Robert's reading glasses still on the bookshelf, a library tote bag hanging by the door. The pre-op went well? Daniel asked. As well as it could. The doctor was honest with Lena. The surgery won't fix everything, just the pain. Just the pain, Daniel echoed. That's not small. No, it's not. Evelyn studied him over her coffee cup. Can I ask you something? Why did you really come here? To this town, I mean. Daniel was quiet, turning his mug in slow circles. After I sold my company, I had more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes. I went to galas, wrote checks, got my name on buildings, and nothing changed, not really. He looked up. I was eating breakfast in a 5-star hotel one morning, and the woman cleaning tables told me about her grandson who needed asthma medication. 5 prescriptions she couldn't afford. On 2 jobs. And I realized I was 30 feet away from a real problem, and all my money was solving things I'd never see. So you left. So I left. Thought if I lived like a normal person, I'd understand what normal people actually need. He smiled faintly. Turns out normal people need the same. Things rich people need. Community, purpose, to matter. You matter here, Evelyn said quietly. So do you. You've been mattering for 70 years. I'm just catching up. They sat in comfortable silence, drinking coffee as darkness gathered outside. Tomorrow's the surgery, Evelyn said. I promised Lena I'd be there when she wakes up. Want company? I'm told hospitals have terrible coffee, but I can bring the good stuff. You don't have to. I know. I want to. Friday morning arrived gray and cold. In a small apartment with yellow curtains, Marisol helped Lena into clean pajamas. Her hands shaking only a little. I'm scared, Mama. Me too, mi amor, but we're brave together, yes? Yes. At 6 a.m., Daniel's sedan pulled up outside. He'd brought thermoses of coffee, bagels, and a stuffed elephant that was absurdly large. For after, he told Lena, every warrior needs a victory prize. In Evelyn's house, she checked her purse 3 times. Tissues, phone charger, the drawing Lena had made, now carefully folded. She touched Robert's photo before leaving. Wish us luck, she whispered. At the hospital, fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Nurses moved with practiced efficiency. A television in the corner played the morning news on mute. Dr. Patterson appeared in scrubs. Ready, Lena? Lena looked at her mother, at Evelyn, at Daniel with his ridiculous elephant. Ready, she said. They wheeled her away. And 3 people who'd been strangers 4 weeks ago sat in a waiting room, bound together by something that looked like family but had no name. She's going to be fine, Evelyn said. More prayer than prediction. Marisol nodded, gripping her rosary. Daniel poured coffee from his thermos into paper cups. And they waited. The way people do when love, not blood, but choice, holds them together. The surgery would take 4 hours. They had time. And for once, time felt like enough. The waiting room smelled of antiseptic and burnt coffee. Marisol sat rigid in a plastic chair, rosary beads moving through her fingers in endless rhythm. Evelyn pretended to read a magazine from 2023. Daniel stared at his phone without really seeing it. An hour passed. Then 2. She's been in there so long, Marisol whispered. That's normal, Evelyn said, though her own stomach twisted. Dr. Patterson said 4 hours. We're only halfway. A woman across the room sobbed, quietly into her hands. Her husband rubbed her back in slow circles, his face carved from stone. Their daughter, maybe 16, sat between them, eyes closed, earbuds in. Daniel stood abruptly. I'm going to get real coffee. Anyone want anything? Something to eat, Evelyn said. Marisol, you need to. Marisol? I can't. You can. You have to be strong when she wakes up. Daniel returned 20 minutes later with sandwiches, fruit, and 4 different types of coffee. Wasn't sure what everyone liked. Marisol took a sandwich, managed 3 bites, set it down. The television flickered silently, news, commercials, a cooking show. Time stretched and compressed simultaneously. At hour 3, a nurse appeared. Family of Lena Vasquez? Marisol shot to her feet, face white. Yes? Is she? She's doing well. Dr. Patterson wanted me to update you. They're closing now. Maybe another 45 minutes. Then recovery. The breath left Marisol in a rush. She sat down hard. Evelyn found herself gripping Daniel's hand without remembering reaching for it. His fingers squeezed back. 40 minutes later, Dr. Patterson emerged, still in scrubs, surgical cap dangling around her neck. Her smile came first, before words, and Marisol started crying. She did beautifully. The curve was more severe than the imaging showed, but we corrected it. Hardware is in place. It'll grow with her. Barring complications, she should have significant pain relief within a few weeks. Can I see her? Marisol asked. She's in recovery. Another hour, maybe. She'll be groggy, probably nauseous, but yes, you can see her soon. After the doctor left, Marisol dissolved completely. Months of fear and exhaustion pouring out in the sterile waiting room. Evelyn held her, rocking slightly, murmuring things that weren't quite words. Daniel turned away, giving them privacy, and found himself staring out the window at the parking lot below. His reflection looked tired, older than 42, but also lighter somehow. His phone buzzed. His lawyer. Hospital confirmed fund implementation. First reduced deposit case already. Approved. You did it. He typed back, we did it. Big difference. An hour later, they stood around Lena's bed in recovery. She looked impossibly small in the hospital gown, IV in her thin arm, monitors beeping steadily. But her eyes opened when Marisol touched her hand. Mama? I'm here, mi amor. Right here. It's over? It's over. You were so brave. Lena's gaze drifted to Evelyn, then Daniel. Did I get the elephant? Daniel laughed. A surprised, relieved sound. You got the elephant. He's waiting in your room upstairs. Good. Her eyes fluttered closed. I'm gonna name him Daniel. The elephant? After you. 'Cause you're big and nice and have good brownies. Daniel's eyes went bright. He turned away quickly, but not before Evelyn saw. That evening, in Lena's hospital room, the absurd elephant sat in a chair like a visitor. Lena slept, pain medication keeping her under. Marisol dozed in the recliner beside the bed, finally allowing herself rest. Evelyn and Daniel stood in the hallway, exhausted and wired simultaneously. You should go home, Evelyn said. Get some sleep. So should you. I will. Soon. She looked through the window at Lena's sleeping form. 4 weeks ago, I met a child in a parking lot. Now I'm standing in a hospital watching her breathe steady after surgery I wasn't sure would happen. Funny how fast life can change. It wasn't fast. It was work. Your work. The community's work. Your work. Daniel corrected. You started this, I just had the checkbook. You had more than that. You had the wisdom to change the system, not just fix one problem. They stood in comfortable silence, 2 people who'd become friends in a crisis. Daniel, Evelyn said quietly, don't disappear again. The world needs people who know how to use their money and actually show up. I'm not going anywhere. This town has the best bake sales. He smiled. Besides, someone has to make sure the hospital follows through. Want to help me be annoying and persistent? That might be my spiritual gift. He laughed, genuine and warm. Below them, the city, spread out in evening lights. Somewhere, other families faced impossible choices. Other children waited for help. But tonight, in room 412, one child slept peacefully. Her spine straightened, her pain easing, her future a little bit brighter because strangers decided not to look away. And that, Evelyn thought, was how you change the world. One parking lot conversation at a time, one bake sale, one hospital fund, one child named Lena who would wake tomorrow with an elephant named Daniel and a life that hurt a little bit less. 3 months later, spring arrived tentatively in Maple Falls. Evelyn was in the church community garden, planting tomatoes alongside Margaret Chen, when she heard a familiar voice. "Miss Evelyn, look what I can do!" She turned, and her heart leaped. Lena stood upright, supported by pink crutches, taking wobbly but determined steps along the stone path. Marisol walked beside her, hands extended ready to catch her, but letting her daughter try on her own. "Dr. Patterson said it might never happen," Marisol explained, eyes glistening. "But the surgery relieved pressure on the nerves. With physical therapy, she's walking. Not much, not yet. But she's walking." Evelyn dropped her trowel and rushed to embrace Lena. "You're a walking miracle, sweetheart." "I still need the wheelchair most of the time," Lena said honestly. "But now I have a choice, and it doesn't hurt anymore, Miss Evelyn. My tummy doesn't hurt anymore." Daniel appeared carrying a box of strawberry seedlings. "I heard we have a celebration." "She's walking," Evelyn exclaimed. "I saw. Impressive." He crouched to Lena's level. "How's Daniel the elephant?" "He's great. Now he has a friend, a giraffe Emma gave me." Lena grinned mischievously. "I think I'll name her Evelyn." Everyone laughed. Later, in the church hall, Father Miguel announced the month's collections for the community fund, now permanent, managed by a committee including Evelyn, Daniel, and 3 community members. "Since January, we've helped 8 families with medical expenses," he said. "And St. Michael's Hospital has reduced their deposits by 40% for low-income patients. This is real transformation." Betty Morrison stood. "I'd like to propose we call the fund the Lena Initiative, to remember that change begins when we see people, not just problems." The motion passed by. Acclamation. Lena, seated between Evelyn and her mother, flushed red. "That's too much." "No," Evelyn said gently. "It's exactly enough." At sunset, Evelyn and Daniel sat on the wooden bench outside the church, watching children play in the adjoining park. Lena practiced with her crutches while Emma walked protectively beside her. 4 months ago, I was considering moving to Florida," Evelyn said. "Selling the house, starting over somewhere warm where I didn't see Robert in every corner." "What changed?" "A little girl in a parking lot reminded me that running from pain doesn't heal it. Sitting with it, sharing it, transforming it into something useful that heals." She looked at him. "What about you? Still planning to disappear into anonymous philanthropy?" Daniel smiled, watching Lena. "I think I've found something better. Visible, accountable, present philanthropy. Turns out, writing checks from a distance was easier, but this..." He gestured to the garden, the children, the community gathering for potluck dinner. "This matters more. The hospital board asked me to speak at their fundraiser next month," Evelyn said, "about patient advocacy and community partnerships. Me, speaking to Millionaire donors. You'll be brilliant, you always are. I'm terrified." "Good. That means it matters." He stood, offering his hand. "Come on. I promised to help set up tables for dinner, and I heard Betty's bringing her cinnamon rolls." Evelyn took his hand, letting him pull her up. They walked toward the hall together, 2 people who'd found purpose in each other's company. Inside, Marisol arranged flowers, donations from the garden club. The apartment with yellow curtains was gone, replaced by a subsidized 2-bedroom near the hospital where mold didn't grow and heat. Worked reliably. She had a part-time job at the church office now, answering phones and managing the community calendar. "Miss Evelyn, Mr. Brooks," she called. "Thank you for coming. For everything. Always." "We're family now," Evelyn said simply. "That's what families do." That night, Evelyn sat in her kitchen with tea and Robert's photograph. The drawing Lena had made still hung on her refrigerator, faded now, but precious. "We did good, didn't we?" she whispered to the photo. "I think you'd be proud." Her phone buzzed. A text from Daniel. "Community meeting Tuesday about expanding the fund to include dental care. Interested in co-presenting?" She typed back, "Absolutely. Someone has to keep you honest. That's why I asked." "Sleep well, Evelyn." "You too, Daniel." She set the phone down and looked around her kitchen. The same walls, the same counters, the same creaky floorboards. But everything felt different now. Fuller somehow. Outside, spring crickets sang their evening chorus. Somewhere on Maple Street, a child slept without pain. A mother breathed easier. A billionaire found purpose. An elderly widow discovered that life's most important chapters could be written at 73. And tomorrow, they would all wake up and do it again. One conversation at a time. One problem solved. One community built. One life changed. Because that's how miracles happened. Not in grand gestures or dramatic moments, but in the quiet decision to see someone struggling in a parking lot and choose simply not to look away. Evelyn turned off the kitchen light and climbed the stairs to bed. Behind her, Lena's drawing smiled in the darkness, and above it, in careful crayon letters, "Thank you for seeing me.